Good evening, everyone. Is the sound? Just testing the sound. Hello. Everybody can hear me. You must be here. Let's be mindful. It's not about talking mindfulness and thinking what it is, but be present as you are here. I want this mindfulness as a heartfulness, as the one you can actually learn to experience. The difference between intellectual mindfulness and with an emotionally literate heartfulness. It's a very big difference between intellectually trying to be mindful and for the sake of being productive and being successful and being leader and being able to achieve goals and have big goals and frantically working for it until one gets stressed. Such intellectual mindfulness drives people to the level of being stressed. So, particularly when there's a lot of interest in the subject of mindfulness, it's important that where did this interest in subject all of a sudden become very interesting, particularly in the first world educated middle class community, more so than anywhere else, more so than any other parts of the communities. Mindfulness is one of the eightfold paths. There are 8 fundamental facets of the teachings of the Enlightened One, whose own enlightenment came as a result of mindfulness. It is one of the 8 parts that makes the whole path. Now, anyone who tried to interpret mindfulness at the exclusion of the other 7 are obviously misdirecting the mindfulness as intellectual kind of maneuvering to succeed ahead of anyone, be it materialism or whatever science or whatever goals one might have. So because of the increasing need for people to empower themselves of the very thing they all have, mind is something all sentient beings have. So it's good to know fully what it constitutes, to be using it in its best potential. It isn't something people who are interested can learn from it. People who are not interested have to do it with their mind. We spend years getting education, always to learn about things out there, from atoms to universe, always mapping, sizing, measuring. Even these technological advances we have made are all product of some kind of mindfulness. Some bright mind has engaged in research and study of the out there. If all the knowings and discoverings that we have accomplished and have benefited from the very use of the primary mind, it is important that that primary mind, what that primary mind is, and what being fully with it means. Just as I began, just try to be mindful, for instance, in this posture. In this very posture that you're sitting, as you are all sitting, but maybe not so much leaning on the chair, but maybe sit a little bit straight for a couple of moments and try to be fully mindful in this very attention that you have decided to pay attention to listen to your heart. What is mindfulness? It may seem like you are listening to me, because we've done that so much, always looking for out there. Nothing much is going to come from me, but it's a lot going to come from your being with the good heart. So, therefore, we are talking about how to make the mindfulness an experience. How does experience come about is by doing, knowing what you're doing, seeing whether you're doing it or not, right or not, and feeling from your heart. If these four is present, you could pretty much say you're fully with what you are doing. So let us exercise just being able to sit. I'll give you a few different exercises. So first, just to sit with your back straight, maybe hands either on your knees, maybe that's more comfortable, since you probably didn't expect a formal meditation. If that's the case, you have to all descend on the floor, which will be pretty difficult, I can imagine. We're not used to sitting on the floor. We're so mindful to sit on the chair. We really want a chair. And we get a chair. So let's do the sitting on the chair. Do the sitting on the chair. And so sitting on the chair, of course, is here feeling very, very wholeheartedly happy that I'm here to understand how can I best effectively engage my heart in what I usually do, where sometimes I'm not wholeheartedly there, let alone mindfully there, let alone wholeheartedly there. So let's try to sit here for a wholehearted purpose. When we are mindful, we can be attentive, we can be courteous, we can be compassionate, we can be peaceful, and we could be very skillful. Whatever we do, whatever that doing happens to be about. Here, we're sitting still. So straighten your back, just bring your attention to the very sit. So the doing mindfully, the sitting. If your attention is fully in the doing of the sitting, then you know why, then you know the sitting that you do, you have to be wholeheartedly for a good purpose. By listening to this, my own heart, through this talk, let me pay heed to my long-held wishes. So here, by sitting still, let this very task of sitting gain the full attention it deserves. So with this knowing, you try to sit still, and then checking whether your mind is, your heart is engaged in being with the sit. When you are checking gently, poking every now and then, whether the posture and the knowing while you're sitting are wholeheartedly engaged, and when you check and when you see you're doing that, you feel completely contented. So that's one simple example of what I mean by doing mindfully, knowing what you're doing, sitting for in this case, and then seeing and checking whether you are doing that very well or not, and then feeling wholeheartedly with that attention that you direct your attention instead of distracted by things while you're sitting. So that's a simple example of mindfulness to do with sitting. Let's try another one, mindfulness with breathing. Okay, let's spend time, a couple of moments, just try to seize your attention to the doing of the breathing. You will see the incoming breath and outgoing breath. So let's just notice these two, either at the tip of the nostrils, or just don't think you're breathing. You just have to really do the breathing attentively. Know that you are inhaling when inhaling. Know that you're exhaling when you're exhaling. So that is knowing mindfully that you are breathing in, breathing out, which you are consciously doing. And then the third component is checking whether your mind is still with it or with somewhere else. If it is drifting away, slowly bring it back, because then you can, your cognizance of the breath become more noticeable, because you're mindful with the incoming breath when you're inhaling, outgoing breath when you're exhaling. And so you are therefore doing, knowing, seeing, all mindfully. The fourth is the feeling very happy that you are wholeheartedly. Maybe when you inhale, something good you inhale that inspires you, that makes you feel very good. You can see the particular sensation that the incoming breath is doing to the body and the mind. Just let it reach parts of the body where it's a little tense and rigid. Try to relax that part, and then mindfully feel the very breath that you're watching and doing and knowing is also felt deep in your kind of in-tuned mind. You're trying to tune your instrument of mind here. This instrument has 4 strings: the doing string, the knowing string, and seeing string, and the feeling string. The 4-string guitar. It's good to tune them. And so try to do that for a couple of moments. This is another exercise of just using mindfulness of doing, knowing, seeing, feeling, just the breath. I allow just for a little while. So in this way, when you're tuning your instrument for a orchestra or a performance, you have to have all your musical instruments well tuned. When you are in the stage of everyday life, you have to have your instrument ready. What are the instruments? Say at work. What do you have to do? Maybe your job requires you to give direction to half a dozen people for the day or for the week or a particular project. So take that as an example. So if oneself hasn't tuned in one's mind, walked through it in one's mind, what to tell and what are the things you have to tell and why and so on, you can't give instructions to other people what to do, so that they actually get the instruction very clearly, because they can see whether you have yourself thought through, or even if it's involved just yourself going at the desk or wherever what you have to do, you have to know what you have to do, and so that requires tuning the doing, not only at the time you do, but beforehand. I don't know how good you are at the moment when you do, but at least you prepared. that less you are mindful. Your mindfulness is that much deficient, because you can see no preparation has gone through. A lot of people talk about mindfulness is about being present, but actually it's not. I have 3 very important points to say about this. Also, people think that mindfulness is all about me. No, that's exactly opposite. And then the third one is also the mindfulness of how well and comfortable I am with my body. So these 3 are the wrong premises of me, now, my body. We usually do many things only for the future. The more mindful we are how to do now, because what now we do, we're mindful to create the causes, so that the result in the future would be one you desire. When we're not mindful now, what we do now are the causes that will have effect later on. So when we're not mindful of either creating causes for the future or accepting or rejecting effects of the past deeds, when we're not mindful, sometimes we are experiencing result of past deeds which we never know we did that, but yet we ended up with a huge result that we didn't expect, maybe. But no result ever comes without the fruit being, sort of cause being created. So when you end up with the experience of a result, usually we are trying to fight with the result of the past mindfulness or lack of it. Which is pretty too late to correct the result. You can't correct the order. You can't correct the order if the order has been already done. So that's what I mean, the mindfulness of future rather than now. This is my main point of why the mindfulness is distinct from heartfulness. Heartfulness thinks of the other people, future, and the mind's well-being more than now, me, my body. In Buddhism, the whole priority is about for the benefit of the others and for the benefit in the future and for the benefit of our mind stream having a good effect as a result of what we perform now, rather than I want now to enjoy in this very skin-deep sensorial existence. That's where all the modern problems, in particular, as well as the general sufferings that people have, whether it's to do with attention deficit or not, definitely attention is distracted. Distracted to try to get something now by what we do now. as if it was instantaneous, It's like 2 minutes noodle. Even this 2-minute noodle is not an instant noodle. It takes more than 2 minutes, don't you think? By the time you bring the pot and turn on the thing, and it takes more than 2 minutes. But a lot of thinking has gone to produce the instant noodle. You spend hours in the in the laboratory, testing, and then production through the process, delivery to the shelf, you going buying and bringing home. It's not instant noodle. See, there was a school in Buddhism called Southern School. They all thought you can just get it straight away. And in Tibet, we had a big argument about that in no other than 8th century. There was almost like a make or break between two warring schools. One saying, go for the Southern School approach. Another saying, no, gradual. And after the very famous debate between the great Indian master Kamalashila and a Zen master called Mohoyen from China, then they decided that Tibetans would follow the Indian school. That is a graduated path to enlightenment. So I would like to talk about why mindfulness should be not just taken as it is now secularly promoted as a kind of a how successful, how productive, how adequate you can materialistically success by using mindfulness in business and all these things, which is intellectual materialism. Without the ancient teachings of the Buddha being considered in the holistic sense of all the Eightfold Path, if they take just mindfulness out of context, as if it's some kind of a modern psychologist finding in their laboratory, promote that, and then not mention any of sources and places where they have learned, they are doing a disservice. They should not feel unproud to relate to the sources where these teachings came from, and not cut and paste as if it is some kind of a modern psychological kind of research product of that. We thank those people who put a lot of effort in that, but the mindfulness should not be taught out of context without the heartfulness. So, how does the heartfulness and mindfulness self-differ is these very three things I think are wrong. When people do mindfulness just for me, to better myself, to succeed myself, to get well or overcome my problems, and all the me driven mindfulness will be just as destructive as any kind of pursuit people make, because ego-driven activities with mindfulness only causes more distraction. They're called destructive emotions. Yeah? Where the destructive emotion comes from? This ego-driven, for me. And then they're very impatient. When they're ego-driven, they're very impatient. They want it now. I want it now, they call it. I thought it was 2-minute noodle. It's taking you 5 minutes. We're already impatient. We are so time poor. we wanted to have a result for which we haven't given cause. And that all the results that we experience are cause we have created in the past. Whether we were mindful then or not, it's anybody's guess. But it doesn't require hard to imagine, because the results are usually evident whether the cause was properly created or not. I'm sure there are a lot of experienced cooks here in this room. Well, I'm sure you do a lot of these cooking shows these days. They all talk about ingredients, don't they? They all talk about ingredients, the materials, the cookeries, before they talk about the flavors and things. First, you have to get in tune all your materials. If you have all the materials gathered together, and then you try that also in the correct sequence of cooking, not back to front, not put the cheese first in the wok with oil. I don't know why people strew the cheese right at the bottom at the end, and hardly put in on the wok, just on the plate they put a little garnish on the top. I don't know why they don't do it back to front. There's a lot of mindfulness cooking. You have to be mindful not only of the ingredients, but timing, and so on, yeah? And heat and temperature and all of that. But little bit you are late, or little bit you turn the thing too high, your thing will go wrong. Even just to do normal, ordinary things. So what are we talking about, the difference between mindfulness? Mindfulness generally is about mind, that which we all have. If we just give ourselves, previously we just did with a little bit of a mindfulness sitting, which is quite obvious that you're sitting. Don't you think so? You're all sitting, so we have no argument there. There's definitely everybody doing what everybody is agreeably doing. It's visibly sitting, parking, you can call it, if we're sitting. And then whether we just know we are sitting here. We don't let the attention disappear, but stay with the attention, sitting, and then checking whether you are with the sit, with your mind and your body are in harmony, and you're checking, and then you're feeling very purposefully why you're sitting. So that was an example to do mindfully sitting and mindfully feeling the breath. The third is mindfully finding the mind. Let's do that, huh? Yeah. Now I don't know. I'm sure you will have a few things to help you to show the spot the mind. You know, if you really were able to spot the mind, and basically see its color and shape and height and the name other than your given name. Okay, the given name is not mind. You know. And also your height is not the mind, and your gender is not the mind, and nor is your profession. So you can't use any of those conventional names society has put labels on you. So that's not the mind, okay? Just try to. This is people already wondering, where is it? Where is it? Yeah. Just imagine, just imagine this, this is very helpful to spot the mind, that you all have not this much hair on your head. Just one hair. Just one hair. Just try to spot that single hair among the non-hairs. Just imagine, huh? That's not that hard, because at least when you have a lock of hair, you think you have hair. It's so easy to think you have got hair. But when you try to spot one hair, it takes a little while, isn't it? Yeah? But particularly try to spot the tip of the longest hair, please. Yeah? Just imagine you were looking for your tip of the longest hair. First you have to work out the longest hair. It means eliminate all the short ones, which is quite easy to do. And once you have eliminated all the shorter hairs, so that there will leave the medium hairs, and so that then our medium ones, then you go to the longer ones, so slowly you get to the longest, By the time you get longest, there's hardly anything to hold on to, because all the non-long hair has to be eliminated, yeah? So you have to have a very nimble finger, not with those long nails will help. You have to have a very nimble finger that can really hold a single hair and try to find the tip of it. Okay, that's an example the Buddha used to help people to find their mind, But at least the hair is easy to find. We can switch on all the light, and we can actually feel between the two fingers, and slowly you can really see the tip of one hair, yeah? Your longest hair. Anyway, you might have some tricks to spot the mind even more profound than that. But that would be not an exercise we'll use tonight. But I'll use this bell. Every time you hear the sound of the bell, just think of mind. Because otherwise, what is it? What is it? It's not bell that's ringing. Hope not. If bell is a bell because there is a bell from its own side and it makes sound, then it should be making the sound all the time. Like I sit, put there. Think about bell now. Is it belling? Not belling. But your mind thinks it's a bell, yeah? Yeah? Please think of a bell. Yeah? Think of a bell. What does it generate in your mind? The object. Is it straight away or not? We can see an object, isn't it? Yeah? So that's useful. At least we know our mind is conceiving bell. And we have conventionally know what a bell is. And if say there's a few things on this table, can you notice? There's a lot of things up here. But let's give the collective name. What do you call this? Huh? A vase of flowers, yeah? Vase of flowers. Not just flowers, vase of flowers. Let's try to find the flower. Is this flower? No. But we thought it was in there. We can look at here. No flower. And then we can look at here. There's no flower. Maybe we think this is flower. Okay, this will do. This will be the flower. So this is flower, they are not. But if you really look at this flower also, out of this is not flower, is it? So we have to take this out. Sorry about that. So I don't know what it is. It's obviously not flower. And this one as well. Oh, you can't go with her. You have to go there. So you slowly, we want to now find where the flower is. To make it a little easier, okay? You have your mind working, I can tell you. It's amazing. Amazing, I got your attention. What makes the flower to become flower? It's not from its own side. It's just because we have a mentation that thinks it's flower. Concepts, yeah? We have a concept, it's flower, and then and when we put the label onto the flower, then it is flower. Now, that's good. That's helpful, isn't it? Go back there. You can be part of the big family, won't you? I don't know about these two. So we have to let them be there for a while. Just like that, now get back to the mind, that actually, we were trying to find the mind, yeah? So, because previously we can't find the mind because we're always looking after things as it is it itself from its own side. But now we know that things are only what the mind thinks. It's very, very important to know that what object that appears is not what it is. It's what our thought says it is. And so that mind which does the minding, that does the labeling, just try to spot the mind if you can. You know, so let's sit up again. Sit up in the posture, and try to think of this as the example, and say the mind. So flower at least got some definition, or everything's got a little definition. What is your own definition of the mind that you can be mindfully become cognizant of the mind? So I'll allow a few moments of quietness because there will be plenty of talking in trying to spot the mind. So with that exercise is called the mindfulness of the thought, really. But when we think about what the mind is, do anyone has a little definition you can give what that mind is? Could be one word, could be 2 words, could be no words. Yeah. Conscious. Yeah, you're conscious. You are conscious of. Yeah, conscious thought. Yeah. Okay, good. That consciousness, that being conscious, being aware of your thought, yeah, being aware of your thought is called luminosity. It's the clear knowing, yeah. So when you are cognitively aware of your own thought, this cognitive awareness of your own thought is the only way we can say, I'm cognizant of my mind, that I'm thinking just for me. Oh, this is awful. I'm selfish. If you're thinking of altruistically for your community or your friend or doing something, you're aware that you're thinking for the others. Yeah, yeah. Now, how often are we cognizant of our selfish mind distinct from our selfless mind? Yeah. So the mindfulness of thought is that we become cognitively aware, subjectively aware, basically subjectively aware. Even breath is a subjective, isn't it? But the breath and the bodily posture is at least 2 things that only happens if it has a cooperation of the body and the feelings. Yeah, these 2 doesn't happen unless. But the mindfulness of thought doesn't need the psychophysical aggregates. It doesn't need the body. It doesn't need the breath. It doesn't need the blood. It doesn't need even the it doesn't need the physical components. So that is what the Buddhist teaching says. The mind, our mind, is not to be found in the mind, because there is no point where the mind starts and finishes. At least hair, you can say, it grows here and it goes this long. You can say, oh yeah, there's the hair, and that's the longest hair. Or at least flower, you can say, it starts there and finish there. But where do you say where the mind starts and where the mind ends? You would like to think the mind is in here, but we could be quickly, within a flash of a moment, we could be thinking of New York, Eurovision. You could be thinking of Eurovision, and you're thinking of being in Portugal. You see? So the mind is very fast, very fast. It's like faster than lightning. You know, lightning can be discovered by mind, not by anything else. If light is fastest, it's because mind says so. So the definition of mind is, it's hard to identify, yeah? Even you are cognitively try to be cognizant, hard to pin down to a particular entity that is itself, okay? That is itself. And then, but at the same time, it's very light. It's very light. Very light and very quick to dash and dart anywhere in no time. Now, if you know this, then you're at least mindful of what the mind is. And it's being able to pay attention to one particular thought or intention that you have and try to just guard it. May I say loving kindness? Say loving kindness. If you say we have a thought of loving kindness, if you want to, let's do this, Let's do this as exercise. Think of someone you love most. Maybe mother would be best, so special. If you think of your mother right in front of you, and especially those of us in our little senior age group, Some of us, our mother may have already passed away, which is the case for me, for instance. But I can still think of her right in front of me as late as I can remember before she passed away, for instance. But to most majority of you who may have still your mother alive, just think of her face and say in your mind, "My dear mom, I love you. May you be well. May you be happy." And try to generate genuine love. Try to feel the love from you towards her. Okay? Let's do that for a little while. Imagine your mother as clearly as possible in your best mood, for you're fully present now, mindfully developing a heartfulness of love towards your mom. Try to see her in your eyes. This is my kind mother. This is my kind old mother. This is my kind old frail mother. This is my kind old frail lonely mother. This is my kind, old, frail, lonely, and sad mother. And maybe not well mother. My dear mother, may you be well. May you be happy. What is it I can do to make you happy? What is it that I can say that'll make you happy? What is it that I don't hold opinion of that'll make you happy? Let me be able to do those, Mom. May I have the power to fulfill your wishes before too late. And with these thoughts, just try to develop a strong, loving kindness towards your mother. This is heartfulness of an intelligent emotion, love towards your mother. So that exercise is distinct from the previous three. Previous three was to do with your body, what you're doing, breathing, and then watching your breath, and then try to see your mind, yeah? Cognitively try to see your mind, which is all about me, which is all about me, now, my body. But the fourth one, which is just thinking of someone else, and then you be mindful, yeah? Think of someone else and be mindful, and say the mother is an example, you can use other people as an object. And then, as I said, how to distinguish the heartfulness from mindfulness. The mindfulness without right attitude, because right attitude in Buddhism is one of the Eightfold Path. So when I say heartfulness, is mindfulness with the right attitude. The right attitude is selflessness. So if one meditate or one do many mindful things just for me, so that you get promotion, so that people love you, people respect you, people think you're great, people think you're professional, people think you're really good, so that you just to boost the ego. If one does that, it's still okay, and there's nobody will say that's illegal. It's completely legal. That's why people promote mindfulness courses, how to become productive and successful, and everybody want to do so that they really are boosted in terms of trying to bring the best potential they lie in their dormant, but haven't been accessed very skillfully. Yes, mindfulness is an amazing cause of all the creativity that we see in the world, are all utilization of these infinite possibilities the mind has. They say we don't even use more than 7% of the intelligence we have. Now, if you use the heartfulness, the heartfulness of the mindfulness, then you are not just thinking of me, my body, now. Now, that's very short-sighted, selfish, and very, very materialistic. Just my body, me, now. Short-sighted because I want now, selfish because of me, and materialistic because of the body. So that's where I wanted to highlight the meaning of heartfulness is exactly opposite of me. It's for the sake of the others. So altruistic motivation, like the example of meditating, loving kindness towards your mother, yeah? Just think of your mother in front of you, and what it does is that why it's heartfulness is it will unset a lot of angst and ill will and difficulties that you have with mother, for instance. By doing loving kindness meditation, it will completely restore your heart, its fitness, its wellness, its ability to practice love and practice loving kindness, not just towards her, but towards others as well. Because people's loving relationship, mother has been soured, like example as mother or father, therefore they just have lost the hope of finding love. Even their finite partners, finite object of love partners, just becomes another object that they want to get for themselves happiness from. And they don't prioritize the well-being of the other, they only prioritize well-being of themselves, then it's so that they will never find love. People are with people, but they never found the love. Why? Love isn't what people can give to you, but love is what we do. We do for the sake of the other, selflessly. Yeah? Selflessly that we do for others to make them happy. Whatever it is, it's a pleasure. It's not a physical pleasure. Its mind just gets a boost when you do something loving towards others, whether it's kind words or whether just a few moments saying, like the meditation to your mother, loving kindness meditation. It straight away makes you feel good that you did that. It almost like opens up your heart, and it removes this tense and dense, congested mind, not only towards the mother, but towards others. People have a lot of angst and ill will about workplace and their boss and friends. There still are, what's the point of them being mindful and successful up in the head when their heart is not in good order? They're torn into pieces by a lot of bad stories they still believe as they're truly real without realizing it's their own selfishness that actually authored all the sufferings that one has. So therefore, mindfulness, the heartfulness is that if your intelligence is utilized, particularly if your IQ is very high and you're very intelligent, you learn very quickly, wait until you do that with your mind. Try to internalize how to work with your mind and try to negotiate the mind, try to unsit some of the destructive emotions that are really holding your mind back, and therefore a lot of anger and guilt and resentment towards loved ones as well as towards even oneself. Without the heartfulness, none of the mindfulness will bring real kind of valid benefits. It may make you more productive, It might make you more influential in the business world. You might sell more cars or whatever it is, but that's about it. But in the meantime, one feels completely empty inside here. Why? Because one lacks the heartfulness. The heartfulness is, one actually therefore uses the object, such as mother. It's just so, when you think of your mother, you really sit there for a couple of minutes saying those kind of words. You can write down nice words yourself. Really say, you can do loving kindness meditation. You can do confession meditation to your mother. This is so you can say, my kind mother, please, I have been selfish there. I said this to you. I did this to you. It was really wrong of me. Please, I wholeheartedly apologize. Say that in your mind, wholeheartedly in your heart. It doesn't have to be before a cross or a temple. It is as long as it's in the heart. If it helps going in the synagogue, please go. If it helps going to church on Sundays, particularly, please do. But other times are just as fine. Don't wait until Sunday. Sunday is not very far, so it's pretty okay. You can do it right at the desk where you are, feeling that this is not the way I should proceed. This ill will about that trivial issue about him or them, it's so wrong. This is destructive. This is like knifing myself. I shouldn't think like this about him. I shouldn't speak about him to others like this. This is all wrong. This is selfish of me. That's heartfulness. But trying to be mindful, how to prove them wrong. And talk to some friends. Try to gather some facts so that we can really undermine them. That kind of mindfulness, destructive mindfulness. So much work goes on doing that, I'm told. Try to convict, try to prove that somebody's wrong, done wrong to you, and you gather all these intelligent people who have done study on law or whatever, use them, and try to prove them wrong, and then that you're going to get some victory. Oh, wait a minute, It will never be victory. It will be just disastrous consequences. So that's not mindfulness as heartfulness I'm promoting here tonight. It's completely different. Because Buddha, the fully enlightened one, we bow down not because he was intelligent up here, but because he's kind here. That's why His Holiness Dalai Lama says, my religion is kindness. So he didn't say my religion is mindfulness. Why? There's so much intellectual property. People think it's their knowledge. I know the stuff and I discover first. This is my original work. This kind of drive of modern education system is probably ruining our young, bright minds. A lot of bright minds. Wow, you wouldn't believe how much disciplined people there are among yourself, I'm pretty sure. How much you have excelled in your fields of knowledge. But it's all about out there. It's all about out there. If the same material, your mind, is used to internalize, to practice selflessness. Selflessly. And the people, if you really ask people what they want to do, they want to do useful thing for others. They never say, I want to do this just for myself. In the good space, they don't say that. But often they're distracted by that very innate grasping to I and me, as it was truly real. It is doing for the sake of others that is most productive and benefit that there is. So the heartfulness is how to, instead of for me, now, for this body, for the sake of others, for the benefit that future will be rewarded, undoubtedly. You don't even have to doubt about the result if you go good at collecting the good causes, right causes or conditions. And particularly the intention was for the sake of others, you will have power to benefit others more than your technical skill. People have so much technical skill, but in their emotion, they're so illiterate. They're so well-read in the fields of study, but they're illiterate. Even the 4 strings of the guitar. They don't know, let alone knowing how to tune them. Emotional illiteracy is the modern disease. Intellectual knowledge, we have plenty. That's why in Buddhism they distinguish between, they say, the common fields of study, and they say nangrikpa, meaning internal study, study of the mind. Study of the mind. The knowing of the mind is the highest knowing. Even knowing God or any kind of spiritual dimension is only possible when you're start to connect with your own heart and mind. So the mindfulness, of course, you learn mindfulness. Very many of you do many things. You have achieved where you are due to your discipline to be mindful what you are doing. Amazing. You can see how much potential each of person's mind has when they are real well delegated, and they can do it. A person who see a very crooked bamboo cuts it down because he can see arrow in this crooked bamboo. And he can produce bamboo arrow from that crooked bamboo. Because he doesn't need as long as bamboo for the arrow. He just needs a particular part of the bamboo that he can then cut and then warm it with the fire and so on. He needs fire also. The arrowsmith needs fire as well as the knife. But if he keep cutting, he won't have any. If he keep cutting like I did, if I cut all those things, it will be really awful to the poor vase, Just put few over there. Still there seems to be a flower vase intact. Sorry, whoever arranged this, The longevity of the flower vase is very good. It has a good future. It has a good future. As long as it's got water in it, it will stay a few. Otherwise, they all will go in the bin in a few weeks' time. Yeah, sometimes we relish things only for now. Why? Because it has been growing weeks and weeks before we put it in this vase, So don't forget that. There was no instant vase here, flower vase here. Particularly, someone has to fire this earth, fire mud, clay to become this. It also took a very, very long time. So this is what I mean by future. In the future, we talk about in Buddhism, from now until essence of enlightenment reached. We never seek blessings and benefit now from what our effort today is, or even last year it is. Quite a lot of you have been working 10 years to get where you are now. So we're pretty used to thinking a little bit on the long term. When we are thinking only short term only, that's what people simplistically say, mindfulness, just being present, lying on the bench or something, That's not mindfulness. That's complete idleness. Poor owls sit on the branch whole night, and lots of all the animals, they're really sitting somewhere. They couldn't believe how terrible, long, dark, and cold this night is. But they're sitting still. That's not mindfulness. That's survival. People oversimplify mindfulness and think it's just like, just be in the moment or something. You wouldn't have your dinner coming if you just think of just the moment and never think about things beforehand. We wouldn't have anything in our life happening if we didn't think beforehand. So therefore, the whole idea of now, I want now, which quite a lot of people say, I want it now. And they say, I hate you, I love you. These people say that quite a lot of time. Those who are very impatient, who want now, maybe, if you do something nice, they say, I love you. If you didn't sit to bed, I hate you. These people are only just so short-sighted, only now. They say this very quickly. But one who is thinking in long term, they wouldn't say this. Even though that comes to mind, they say, oh, I shouldn't say this. This will awfully hurt my friend if I say, I hate you. And they know that it will destroy their friendship from the past as well as in the future. If I say, I hate you just because it came. You also shouldn't say, I love you, because what does it mean? And all of a sudden, you made them into trouble. I love you. Really? Some people are really worried, All of a sudden, people, now the person doesn't know what to do. Oh, he told me he loved me. See, that's the problem. You don't say these things just because they come to your mind. Because few days later, you actually don't love them person, So you're glad you didn't say that. Oh, that's good, I didn't say it. You see? People who are short-sighted say things whatever they come to mind without mindfully saying, what would be the future causes and consequences of this if I say this to the person? So if you are really grown-up couples, don't need to say these things. Just do the things that is really loving. Say the things that really make the others know he said the things to you so carefully, so compassionately, so thoughtfully. Action speaks louder, they call it. That's much better. That's more heartfulness. More heartfulness than emotionally saying, I love you, I hate you, just because they came in your mind just now. See, short-sighted people are not mindful of the consequences. They say whatever they like, do whatever they like, and then later on they end up with the consequences they never expected. So the heartfulness is where one tries to holistically practice mindfulness with the purpose of not just me now and the body, but for the sake of others. So therefore there is a very benevolent intention why you want to do something. So is just even the sitting meditation. We say before in Buddhist meditation, we say we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And by the merit of my sitting here, may this benefit all sentient beings. With such attitude, we must sit. If we don't sit with that, even if you sit hours and hours, days and days, the benefit would be very, very minimum. But because you have the altruistic motivation for the benefit of others, because a lot of people are so restless, they don't even have the time to sit, let alone learn how to. So I'm going to do this meditation. Buddha himself did that. When he left the palace, and he went in the forest and sat under the tree. He sat there under that tree, holding this heartfulness for the sake of all sentient beings, happiness and well-being. I will hold this vigil until peace is realized. If he didn't have this heartfulness, his intention, benevolent intention, for the benefit of all sentient beings, he said, that intention that he conceived in the last mortal body, because Shakyamuni Buddha, not that was the first time, he did many, many lifetimes before that as well. That was the last life that he lived in this world. The benefit of that is still pulp, you can feel it today. All the Dharma, Buddha Dharma, teachings of the Buddhism that is reaching so many places and people without being solicited, without being promoted, without being missionized, is because people are actually receiving this amazing, the silent wave of the benevolent motivation, the heartfulness practice that he did under the tree. That's after he got enlightenment. His intention was given, the name of his intention was given to the tree, Bodhi tree. Bodhi means enlightenment. That the tree earned the name of his intention. The Bodhi tree. Bodhi means enlightenment tree. Otherwise it's a fig tree. So, amazing. And people go there to see that spot where Buddha sat and conceive that heartfulness, infinite altruism we're talking about. Even just to do for your mother is so good, Just imagine you think of all sentient beings as your mother. And then for them, I'm going to sit. I bet you will sit longer and better quality. Because you are sitting, I'll sit, see how uncomfortable my body goes. I have a little problem with my hips. We'll see how it goes. All of a sudden, you start having a problem with the body because you're thinking of me and my body all the time, not having a high purpose. You know? We're not saying people should have high purpose if they don't see the benefit of course, you know. But one has to use the intelligence, whether that is a way to go about, whether the I first kind of attitude is the way to go. Because we tried this I first attitude so long time, so many times. It got us into more problem than anything it solves. So it can always wait on the side. It can put in the sin bin, the I first. Even between two persons, there's a conflict. It's because there's I first problem. Not thinking of the other, each other. If there's both thinking of one thinking of the other, another thinking of other, there will be amazing happiness. Happiness just comes from this thinking of the others first, and oneself having pleasure to do that. That is real mindfulness. Then we got the mind in our heart. Otherwise, we got a mind in somewhere in the brain that moves or doesn't move. These days they're puzzled that my brain has some elasticity. As the elasticity in the brain is some amazing discovery. He never looked in the mind. Wait a minute until how fast the mind moves. I told you it moves very fast. It's not just a little plasticity of the brain we're talking about. Of course, mind can make the brain move, brain shift. It can cause a lot of neurological transformation when your heartfelt meditation is done. You know, bodhicitta, the selflessness is the purpose of mindfulness. If the selflessness is the forgotten, just to become mindful, to succeed in your job or to your things materially, that's a materialistic mindfulness. Of course, one can choose to do that, and because there is over there, but our mind has an infinite potential to do a little more than that. You know? So therefore, one needs to really see where does the mindfulness teaching came from Buddhism, and in it, particularly in the teachings and schools that we were raised in, without the heartfulness, even if you become so successful doing whatever, you came out of the top of everybody. 90 people, you came out top. So what? You made 89 people unhappy. What would be the benefit of that? And so, therefore, one tried to find about, sure, do any form of mindful practice, but always remember, what is it for? Not just for me, now for my body. Because Buddha did not think of his body. He did not feel hungry or thirsty, at least to the degree of having to get up and went search for food when he got hungry. He was still able to hold the vigil, to sit still, never mind the elements, never mind the coldness of the night, or the windy, or the mosquitoes, or dry weather, or whatever it was. But he kept holding the vigil. This is an enlightenment strike. He was doing enlightenment strike, not hunger strike. Enlightenment strike. The purpose is until he can defeat the egoism, yeah, that he identifies with the body, my body, I feel cold. He says, where is I? That's not you. The mind talking. He talks about the left hand. That's not me. Left hand talking, right hand talking. He says, that's not me. So he basically eliminates all of the things as not being him. So he was able to basically, mind became powerful over matter. Huh? Because of that, the body became less important. The well-being of the mind, intelligence of the mind became more priority. So because of that, not body now, or right now how I feel comfortable. Presently, Buddha was sitting there in meditation. He would have been in pain, so I would imagine. His body went very skeletal and emaciated. People couldn't even recognize whether he was a person or not, because it only looks like a shape of the body, but doesn't seem to have any kind of a sense contact or whatever, So he was rather like a statue that is covered in cobwebs or something. He was able to overcome his matter, the physical body, by the mind, because he wasn't concerned about me and my body now. What did he do? He was doing it for the benefit of others, how to discover the suffering and its causes, and how to find a mind that can medicine itself and get it well. You see? So true mindfulness with heartfulness is medicine or well-being. If just mindful itself for the productivity, for the skill, for the promotion, for the materialistic interest, it might be just look very good on the surface, but deep down, one doesn't feel any benefit. These days, I feel a little bit concerned, even though I'm nobody really, I'm voiceless, except in this room for the time being. Where am I? Because your attention is here, I like to say that. But otherwise, a lot of knowledges are cut into pieces and then not giving the full credit what it really is. So mindfulness teachings are no new discovery. This is the result of the meditation of the Buddha. Buddha did right meditation with the right mindfulness, with the right effort, but most importantly, with the right intention. Right intention. With the right action. He didn't mind the temporal physical hardships. Yeah? He just sat. And with the right speech. He kept totally silent. He minded the complete silence through that. Yeah? And right livelihood. Just complete contentment. Not craving, desiring, looking for things, just completely contentment that as long as he can really contain his body and keep his mind fully in his hand to not forget selflessness, love, which is loving kindness. So through his right meditation, right mindfulness, the right effort, which is the three last of the Eightfold Path, it goes up. First, right meditation, like the sitting still and breathing, and these things are right meditation. And then to do that, you develop right mindfulness. Yeah, and that right mindfulness, progress better if you have right effort. Yeah, effort must be maintained to do, to know, and see, and feel, all those four strings you tune. When you do this, then you have right livelihood. Your life and what you do is good. And then you have right speech, right action, and then most importantly, right attitude. And from all of this comes right view. Right view is the enlightenment, the selflessness, that there is no real self other than the merely labeled flower. Of course, that is beyond the scope of this talk. But it's not beyond the scope of your mind, I'm told. Because talk is not mind, But when your mind really sees and try to spot the mind and then starting to have a really full paying attention to the altruism. The first, number one purpose of meditation is for the benefit of others. So even if you meditate, even you do a karma body meditation, say some of you have attended courses, even if you meditate, do the karma body meditation, if you do it for the sake of, so that you will be much more courteous, more kind, more selfless, more respectful through where the words we speak, to the manners we show, to the attitude we develop, to the very people who you live with and work with, if you can make them feel more loved and more selflessly coming out of your good self to serve others, to benefit others, your happiness will more come from that more reliably than from anything else that you may gain materially. If you have with that intention, if you meditate, then even the meditation itself is awful. Your legs go numb, you can't focus the mind, you try to find the mind, you can't even find the longest hair. You try to watch the breath, but you're nearly choked. You try to sit still, but the body going numb. Your meditation is going to go all over the place. Yeah, your meditation is meant to be unsatisfactory. In spite of the unsatisfactoriness of meditation, that your still heart is not giving up. To be selfless, to be the good that you can be, whether you speak or think or feel or express your emotions to others. Should I say this to him? Even though you feel like so strong. Oh, what would I do if I say this to him? Is he in a good situation to say this? What is my intention to say this? Is it because I'm grieving and not happy? But then how would he relate to that poor thing? Would he be benefit? Would he not, Then he realized, no, there's no point in me saying this, I have to resolve it myself. Talk to your heart. Don't just mouth at everything. See, that's right speech. Heart is saying, don't say everything that comes to your mind. Yeah. See, that's a right mindfulness as well as right heartfulness. See? Then that form of meditation during which your leg went numb and maybe you didn't really feel, people don't really enjoy the actual session itself. I tell you, my sessions are not enjoyable. Don't come if you want enjoyment. You should expect to suffer a lot. Not that we do the very long ones, but say hour and a half sessions. But towards the end of the 8-week course, then you're starting to shifting, some kind of shifting of attitude. The me, the me is really identified clearly as something to be identified and marked, how to contain that and tame that. Put that less priority, I first is a big problem, because the most problem is I first. iPhone, iPad, all these I things, all these I things. Gosh, you couldn't believe, You couldn't stop calling anything. You can call at least something like U-pad or U-phone, at least nice. Always I. That's the root of all problems. That's Buddha discovered. He got enlightened when he knew that. This innate grasping to I, mine, and always is the root of all sufferings. Now, from your meditation, you discover that, then you will be heartful enough, of course mindful too, heartful enough not to massage the ego, but rather try to be it useful and beneficial to others. Then you will, your role of your job in wherever you will really make people don't feel threatened by your position because you don't act like one. People feel supported by you because you do that way. You speak that way. See, you're now feeling from your heart. That is the best religion is being able to bring your heart involved, not always getting in the head, always getting in the black and white in the head. That's the problem. So heartfulness is amazing because you wouldn't believe how much information, emotions that we store in our mind, in our heart, are affecting the well-being of your body in general, particularly the well-being of your heart. And not to mention other 4 organs, not to mention the brain. All of them are completely interdependent. If there's ill will, resentment, guilt, and grief, sadness, hurt, I'm still believing someone is wrong, they wronged me, one still continue to believe those things, no wonder the person feel unwell, unhappy, scattered, unable to focus, then starting to do many mindless things, then use some substances, some activities that has no real benefit. Always try to please the skin, deep five senses. Never do anything for the sixth sense, mental consciousness. And that's where people get lost in the materialism. They don't give time to meditate. They don't learn it properly. They don't give discipline. And even if they learn meditation, they don't learn the heartfulness meditation. They only learn how to think they know how to meditate. This time that I was brought up was all to do with do many, many devotional practices until we definitely can feel sort of almost like let your body, your energy, your feelings, your needs completely be forgotten. Just focus on being able to do something for the sake of others and for the future. But when we did the 3-year retreat, it was awful. One of my friends died in retreat, and we considered that successful retreat. And all of us has a very hard time. But it's really good, actually. It's considered very good practice. considered to be very good and very beneficial if one is able to stay unscattered throughout that time. Then the little benefit today is coming from those efforts, not from some big piece of certificate we can hang on the wall, some testimony people give it to you, not that kind of thing. Yeah, they don't go very far enough. The long-term benefit, being able to think far ahead what the benefit there will be here, not for self, for others, not for this body, but for the mind itself. Mind itself cannot turn out to be very different. It come out amazing mind. You will see at the end of that retreat or course, you realize you have a change of a mind about many things. You can drop that view, that opinion, that reading, that perception, and then your heart feels like accommodating many things. Because now you can read your mind. Now you are literate. Now you can read your mind, your thoughts, and the emotion that they generate and that shouldn't be generated. You actually can contain some, de-escalate others, prevent others, and encourage others. Because of that kind of fitness and ability to do that, then you will see the meditation practice or devotional practices, the formal meditation but most of the benefit is when you're not doing formal meditation. At your life, in your work, in some challenging situation, you are predisposing remarkably much more thoughtfully, much more futuristically, much more selflessly. You're able to contain your thoughts, hence your words, hence your deeds. You're not bottling them up. You're not suppressing them. You can basically diffuse them. And they're no longer you. Because they're just certain thoughts, feelings. You don't have to revisit them. You don't host them, you don't post them. It's good, let alone sharing them. See? Now you can share good stuff. Because you did it for the benefit of others, and they will see that what you got to share through the meditation is courtesy, respect, compassion, skillfulness, not minding one's mouth, minding one's thoughts, and minding what one does. And more importantly, being able to hear what people are saying, but not take it literally what they said. Oh, I used to speak like that all the time before. I know exactly what it's like to be saying that without knowing why you're saying this. You will not take literally, you will not be so offendable. Why? You have got heartfulness Heartful information, how to process it. You have the best food processor machine now. Yes, made in Lhasa. I'm just joking. In Lhasa, they don't make food processors. Yeah. Mind made in your heart is very good. Shaped and molded in your heart, very good. I can see, we have to come down from the head and bypass the mouth, please. And go to the heart. And you really consult the heart. It would really have a much safer advice to you. Should I say this? Should I say this now? Should I say this way? Ask your heart. That your heart is much more mature. Because we all have the basic goodness, which is love. In Buddhism, we call that Buddha potential. We all have that. Really, we are all product of love. We are not some product of some person's mistake. We're product of love between your parents. They completely gave their life to each other. And it is from that liaison of their totally giving for each other that we were brought up. The way they gave to us, our body and our health, education, love, and since you were born as a result of their love, they treated us with love. We can't remember some, but we need to go back as far back as we can. How on earth could I have survived if I haven't been brought up, if I wasn't brought up with love, loving kindness, and generosity and selflessness of my parents? I wouldn't have survived even a day. Yeah, we are. We have to recollect the lost memory of loving kindness that we have been showered ever since we were born. Even the name they gave you, they chose out of hundreds. The middle name, they have to be something to do with the loving grandparents. Somebody. Oh, it's amazing. Gosh. We are a product of love. And we've got to remember that. And we probably are, ourselves have been the parents. You can see how much you bestow. And all saint people in your life are sort of your children. Think it that way. However difficult they seem, then you have the heartfulness. Otherwise, you have opposition. You have an opponent. You have a this or that. It's a wrong attitude to look at that way. They are a sort of child that didn't grow enough by themselves. And we have some karmic or moral responsibility to give that selflessly. If you meditate, so what? If you can't practice selflessness to the nearest and dearest. Yeah, the heartfulness is most important one. And so any form of mindfulness is understood, but these three priorities corrected, not self, not now, not my body, but for the sake of future benefit, for the sake of the mind stream, what kind of mind I want to have, Some people don't like what they think. If they don't like what they think, they should stop thinking that. And they should erase all the past thoughts. And they should use the little sort of rubber on the tip of the pencil, just use it and rub it, erase them, I don't know why there is a little rubber on the top of the pencil. It's not just to beautify the pencil. It is to erase the mistakes. Yeah. It's very important. Then you can reconcile with anyone, anything. See, that's heartfulness. You can forgive them. You wouldn't believe how much powerful, empowering that it is to be able to forgive someone and no longer have the ill will towards them. Wow. Nobody can bestow that ritually or ceremoniously. Or shaving your hair. It will not. You've got to drop those thoughts and beliefs and storylines, and then you really no longer have that ill will or resentment. Then you can see that is really, really healing. It makes you to become a peaceful person. It will make you sleep well. Sleep so well that in the morning when you get up, you're so happy. Yeah, people don't get enough sleep because they have a lot of day thoughts that they haven't processed. They haven't trimmed down. They're staying in their mind so long and they still think they got some valid points, They don't realize how they were poorly crafted by selfish me. Because they can't see the mind, they don't know what the mind is doing to themselves. But when you're starting to learn how to meditate, be that with the posture or the breath or the thoughts or the object, you wouldn't believe that it's empowering. It does. See, all this silence you gave me is you were really deep down in your heart, feeling this, because we all got a heart. They say, listen to your heart. They don't say, listen to your head. How can you listen to the head? It's already making too much noise. If you listen to your heart, at least the head becomes a little bit peaceful. And so slowly you trim down those thoughts. And what are relevant ones to the heart, you process them, you transform them. That is meditation. Then you breathe out, you let go. You breathe in all the good things. You do that again and again, amazing. Almost if you have a kind of a point of developing some disease down inside some of the main organs, it can prevent them from growing. The medication that you're taking will be augmented once you drop those ill will. Otherwise, take medicine here, pop the pill every day, but deep down thinking negative thoughts. It's almost like, one doing here, the other rejecting from here. Then that's why we are not really, the medicine isn't working. Why? They don't know why it isn't. The symptoms of the two patients exactly the same, and so is medication, but one is receptive, other isn't. Attitudinal shifting is not a medicine. No medicine can help. It's a power of your mind that one needs to unleash. And this is why our modern scientists, brothers and sisters, and a lot of people are trying to upskill their psychology or their neurology or their cardiology or whatever they're studying with some understanding of ancient wisdoms that didn't just come from recent kind of researchers or one point think that one person who thinks that it's all his original idea and research. They never did. There's no such intellectual property. These are not intellectual property. This is heartfelt love. There's no bounds and limits. You don't say it's my loving kindness. It's like the sun saying, "Oh, I don't want to give my light to Australia today. Just give it New Zealand this morning." They would be thinking that might be terrible, isn't it? Just for the eclipse of our solar eclipse. Light does not discriminate where it should shine. So is loving kindness. Remember, when you have your mind in your hand, you will have the light in your heart. And it wouldn't discriminate bounds, saying loved ones, even person who's really difficult with you, almost like your arch enemy number one. Even he or she, you will have the goodness to practice loving kindness and get rid of ill will. Why? Because you have light. The light does not discriminate. And particularly when you can unsit ill will, then you really have heartfulness. You can feel the healing. You can feel there's no uptight and dense and tense feeling in your body, let alone in the heart. Almost like you feel like flying, if you need to. Your stride on the street would be different. Where you see your things will be different. Everything looks good when your heart is getting the right conversation, monologuing. Meditation is a good, creative monologue. It's not doing nothing. As you're afraid of your thoughts, you don't want to think anymore. That's what some Zen teachers thought. You should try to stop thoughts, or something like that, and then think that will stop everything, The Southern school thought that, But gradualists say, no, you can really idealize that, but you have to take step number one, and then you might get a very good view at the end. So the purpose of that is really developing the good heart. And even meditation, even discipline, even prayer, even chanting, even all these things you do, if the real shifting of the heart isn't happening towards loving kindness and compassion, then it is just another spiritual materialism in the form of mindfulness. So we need to really distinguish this and try to put them all back into one, and then holistically identify that, because we all have that wish in our heart. We don't want our whole one world to be divided by different names of religion and culture and things. We all want to bring the oneness of the world through promoting love and kindness and goodness of each other. This is what His Holiness Dalai Lama does. He promotes that he thinks all people as one, not because of the labels of people's culture or religion or lack of thereof. He says even people who no longer believe in religion, who are walking away, 19% I'm told, 90% people don't want to believe in anything. Even then, we should keep in the fold and respect each other and not say we are right, others wrong. And we all have to be kind to each other. And through meditation, in Buddhism maybe we promote meditation. In Christianity they do that a lot through charity. You can see, look at the real charity work, it's a really act of loving kindness, act of kindness. But if there's other intention to do other than that, that's a totally different matter. But the intention is really to help the people who don't have what they don't have and give them, to empower them, whether they do something later or not is not your main priority. If they do, that's their choice. But whole priority is to benefit others. Then it's benevolent. Then it's God's work. Then it's real Christian charity. And you can see the beneficial activities of charity is there. Whether people meditate or pray to God is just different formality, different culture. But deep down, it has to come down to how we can all develop a kind heart and good heart. And then, be it believing or not believing in God or non-God, it would be just as good as God. You say, good, godly fellow. Yeah, I'm sure there's a good God in everyone else. Everyone's heart there is a God. The God really means one who loves others, who do not judge anybody. Okay, this is definition. Not just one who loves, but never judge others, never frighten others, never blame others, never say there's only one way, but there's many ways. But all should be kind to each other. Thank you very much.